So if you have an e-commerce business or you have e-commerce clients and you manage their email marketing, then pretty soon you will end up with the question, how much revenue actually email marketing makes for my business or for my client's business? So I remember back then when I started my career and my journey with email marketing, we just simply went to the email tool, and back then actually many email tools, they couldn't even measure revenue. They just measured the open rate, the click rate, unsubscribe rate, all of that. And I remember Klaviyo was one of those new ones that could actually measure the revenue, and it could also attribute revenue to email marketing. So everyone was very reliant on Klaviyo. Also, they were number one in the e-commerce email marketing field. So people in general, e-commerce business owners and marketing managers, they usually trusted Klaviyo and what it said. So it usually showed a percentage, and you are good to go. However, with the new era of e-commerce marketing and iOS updates, all of those things, now everyone is really concerned about attribution. So nowadays the whole picture just became 50 shades of gray. So it's not black and white anymore. Okay, what's my email revenue? But actually there are different attribution models. And today I want to give you insights into this topic because actually I cannot find too much content about this on YouTube. So in our experience, there are 3 platforms and sources that you can follow to find out your actual revenue and attributed revenue from your email marketing. So number 1 is your email software. Let's say, just for sake of simplicity, it's Klaviyo. And then you have your e-commerce platform. It also says something. And then after COVID and the iOS changes, many companies, they use third-party analytical tools, attribution tools to see these numbers. And the most common ones are usually Triple Whale or Hyros or even GA4. We typically rely on at least 2 of these 3 to see numbers clearly. So we try not to rely on one source only, because I can definitely see this, that the email marketers, they rely on the email software, while the e-commerce business owner or the marketing manager, they rely on what the e-commerce platform says, or if they are more sophisticated, what Triple Whale says or Hyros and their attribution tool actually says. And it can cause a huge discrepancy by time, and that's why it's such a crucial topic. So one of our favorite tools for attribution as a third-party tool is Triple Whale. In the description I will put the link of that video, because I analyzed Triple Whale, the pros and cons of this tool, and you will find those in that video, and you can watch that video too. So I can see most Shopify stores, they rely on Triple Whale. So the 3 most basic attribution models, and these are not made up by Triple Whale, and they were here for COVID and the iOS changes, and actually we use these with some of our clients, but of course by now they became much more important and popular. So number 1 is first click attribution. So let's say that somebody can see your product in a Facebook ad and they click to your website, and then they don't buy. Second day they can see a Google ad, after they search, they click to your site, they leave again. And then third day they type it in, the name of your product and brand, they go to the product page, they go to the checkout, they leave their email there, and then they receive an abandoned cart email, and finally they buy. So in this scenario, if you use first click attribution, then 100% of the generated revenue from this purchase will go to Facebook. So your attribution tool will say that, okay, Facebook generated this revenue, and the rest of the channels made nothing for you. So this is first click, and then last click is very similar. Here it will say that email generated your revenue because this guy received the abandoned cart email, clicked, went to the checkout again and checked out and purchased. So this is last click, and email gets 100% of the revenue, and the other channels, they get nothing. And then the third most popular one and basic one is linear attribution model. So what this does is basically it checks all the touch points, every channel. So I said Facebook, Google, and I think I mentioned SEO, and the fourth was email. So each channel will get 25% of the generated revenue, and that's linear attribution basically. So these are the three most basic ones, and if you go to Triple Whale, Hyros, all of these tools, they use more sophisticated ones. So there is even a Triple Whale attribution. Nowadays they try to add zero-party, first-party data coming in from surveys and different integrations to really see which touch point was the most important for your conversion. So the whole picture can be obviously more sophisticated and all of that, but there is a fine balance, keeping things simple like a first or last click attribution, and making things more sophisticated but also more complex, which is just too harder to grasp and understand. These are the three more important attribution models that you need to be aware of. Okay, so now you will understand how a third-party attribution tool works, but also you need to understand your email marketing tool has a different attribution model. And once you understand this, then you will see why your attribution tool versus your email marketing tool shows really different numbers. So Klaviyo and its default attribution model is called a 5-day open attribution model. So this is actually different from everything else that I shared you a few seconds ago. So how this works is, if you send out an email and if your recipient opens this email and then let's say they don't click, they don't do anything, they just open their email, Klaviyo tracks that. And then if this person buys in the next 5 days in your store any kinds of products, then that revenue will be attributed to Klaviyo in the Klaviyo email software. So let's be honest, I think we can call it a very generous attribution model. However, as you will see, it's nothing compared to many SMS tools out there. I will talk about it in a minute. So regarding Klaviyo, this 5-day open attribution model can be changed, and let me jump to my computer to show you how it's possible. You need to go to setting, go to attribution, and then here you can change the number of days, you can make it even hours, and the attribution model, so it can be opened or clicked email, and it can also exclude Apple privacy opens, which is pretty much an annoying thing nowadays. But you can also make it a clicked email only, which is a much more conservative attribution model. So I will just keep it at the default one. And then here is SMS, so you can also change it here. As you can see, it uses a click-based methodology in Klaviyo. So now that you know how to change this attribution window in Klaviyo, let me tell you about SMS attribution. So SMS is even trickier because the open rate and the opens of text messages, it just cannot be tracked. So what we can track there is only the clicks. So there are usually two ways to track SMS attribution and attributed revenue. One is simply click-based, which is, I think, a more conservative attribution model. Let's say somebody sees your text message and then they click the link, they go to the product page, they buy. Within 5 days, you can set up this time window. Let's say it's 5 days, then that revenue will be attributed to SMS in your SMS platform. But there is another way which is more generous. So this is called impression-based attribution for text messages. So here, if you send out a text message to somebody and they buy within the time frame that you set, let's say 5 days, it doesn't matter if they clicked, it doesn't matter if they open the text message, what you cannot track anyways, then it will be attributed to text message revenue, SMS revenue in your SMS tool. Attribution is really the Wild West nowadays. That being said, I want to still focus on email attribution in this video, and let me share our best insights regarding this after working with hundreds of email marketing clients in e-commerce. Okay, so now I want to show you a couple real examples of real Shopify stores and e-commerce stores, and what's the difference between Klaviyo and a tool like Triple Whale. So this store generated $96,000 in the last 30 days, and around $9,000 is from email marketing, so 9% of their revenue. So this is the default 5-day open attribution model of Klaviyo. But if I go to Triple Whale and I click first click attribution model, we will see that Klaviyo is only at $3,000 revenue from email marketing and only 17 purchases. So now I will go to last click attribution and let's see those numbers here. Yeah, so it says 18 purchases and just a bit more than 3,000. So far both last click and first click, they had a 3x difference between Triple Whale and Klaviyo. Now I will go to linear, let's see that one. And here we will see 22 purchases, $4,000. So this is almost a 3x, maybe closer to 2x difference. So that's significant difference between Triple Whale and Klaviyo. Okay, so here's the second brand. They sell hiking clothing in North America. And as you can see, very similar total revenue than the previous one, but $54,000. More than half of their revenue comes from email marketing, according to Klaviyo. And this is again 5-day attribution model, so the normal one or the default one. And in a Triple Whale, we can see that if we use last click, first of all, it's linear now. So linear shows that it's $24,000, 160 purchases. So that's roughly half of this number here. If I go to, let's say, first click attribution, then this number is $39,000. So last click is stronger than linear. And this makes sense because email is usually strong with last click. It's strong to convert people who are already, who already know you and follow you and subscribe. If I check first click, let's see those numbers as well. So this is only $14,000. So that is a huge discrepancy, right? So this is a brand where actually it really makes sense to check these things because Klaviyo shows 54,000, which is generous, obviously. And then first click is only 14,000. But email is not strong to acquire new customers. Where its strength is to retain them and convert them who already know you well. So obviously for first click, usually Facebook and Google will be strong. And then, so it's only 14,000 for first click, and for last click it was $39,000. So these are huge differences, and that's why you need to understand the nitty-gritty of attribution. And finally, this brand, it sells activewear in Europe. The total revenue last 30 days was $150,000. $34,000 is from email, according to Klaviyo. And if I go to Triple Whale and I check last click, it will show us $17,000. So that's exactly a 2x difference between the two. But let's see if I click first click attribution. So first click attribution shows only $7,000. So that's a 4x difference. So 5 actually. And if I go to first click attribution, it shows only $7,000. So that's a 5x difference compared to this one here, what Klaviyo says, and compared to last click, it's a 2x difference. So the pattern is similar here. For first click, Facebook, Google will be strong. For Klaviyo, it will be weak. Klaviyo is good at last click, and of course, Klaviyo's attribution is still the most generous one. So let's check linear. Let's see what linear attribution says. Yeah, it says $13,000, so almost the same as last click. And if I go to triple attribution, just for the sake of curiosity, then we will see it's $34,000. So surprisingly, this triple attribution, it's pretty close what Klaviyo says. I don't know if it actually pulls in that number. Yeah, it's almost the same number, but as it says, it gives high credit for each sales channel. So as you can see, there are huge differences between what Klaviyo and triple whale different attribution model says. Okay, so after understanding the basics and seeing these differences, these are my 5 conclusions that I want to share with you. So number 1, use at least 2 sources of information when it comes to your attribution and revenue for email marketing. If you are a smaller store, I think you can use your e-commerce platform and you can use your email marketing tool, but once you hit a couple tens of thousands of dollars per month, then I would shift to something like Triple Whale, Hyros, Northbeam, you name it. But basically some kind of third-party attribution tool, and also I would use still the email marketing tool, and I would compare those platforms to each other, see the differences. Also in the third-party tool you can check different attribution models and see how they compare to each other, and also to Klaviyo and your SMS tool. My second advice would be that of course it depends on your strategy what attribution tool you focus on. So you are really after profit and revenue, or you are more about expansion and branding and acquisition. But we typically use in most clients the default setting of Klaviyo, the 5-day open attribution model, and we compare it to a less click attribution. Most of our clients, they are more profit focused, though they don't have VC back funding, so that's why we rather focus on last click and we are more conservative instead of broadening and using very generous attribution models. Number 3 would be that keep in mind that the 2 platforms will almost never show you the same numbers, and this is not just about attribution model, but they use different ways of measuring things. So that's why you don't want to be super perfectionist about it, but you just want to understand the main things. You want to see the most important attribution models and compare them. Okay, and the next one is mostly for agency owners, but also e-commerce business owners. So regarding revenue share deals with your agency or freelancers for email marketing is very tricky, and you want to make sure that you only do this if you really trust that person, the other side, and that person is really in control, and most importantly you are on the same page regarding numbers and how you track results. That's why we always ask our clients how they check the results, what platform they use, what attribution model they focus on, and what numbers they look after. So these are crucial questions you need to ask them. You want to be on the same page, and once this happened, then you can think about a revenue share deal with the other side. You also want to make sure that this business, it's not on Amazon or doesn't have physical stores, or at least they don't really affect the e-commerce operation, the D2C side of the business, because things they can cross attribute, right? So things can get tricky. So it can happen that somebody receives an email, but after they go to the store in their city and they buy there, or they go to Amazon and they buy there, and it's very hard to track that. But we don't even have to talk about it. You just want to really see if this client cares about the revenue in Klaviyo or in their Shopify or in their Triple Whale, and what attribution model they use. And also here's just an extra tip for you. So I wouldn't recommend go for a percentage deal. We typically have tiers of success, let's say. So if they hit a certain revenue number from a channel measured by a certain way, then we get bonuses basically in that single month. So we don't use percentages, because I can see that business owners, they tend to agree with percentages at the beginning, and later on they think they realize that actually it's a huge number and they become more resistant to pay. So it's just better to be upfront and tell fixed amounts and amounts of bonuses if you hit certain target numbers. And finally, this is for e-commerce business owners. What really matters is what is in the bank. Again, this is not for VC funded companies, but I know most of our viewers, they are not like that. You are more profit focused companies, and many of you are growth focused. So end of the day, what matters is what's in the bank, and also your cash flow, because this is what a small business lives on, and you want to see that clearly. So all of these attribution models, of course, these are important to understand your business, but you want to check your cash flow statements at least once per week. I would say if you are a larger business, probably once a day. I think it's good if the CEO does it regularly, just to feel the pulse of your business and how it operates. And before I leave, so I just want to share this story that a couple years ago I talked to one of the largest marketing agencies out there working with e-commerce businesses in the US, and their CEO told me that they use not 5-day attribution model of Klaviyo, but actually 60-day, which is the maximum attribution model. So if anyone opens an email and they buy within 2 months, then it goes to Klaviyo as email marketing revenue. And I asked him, why is that? Because then you will see crazy things like 70% of revenue from email in Klaviyo. And he simply told me, because we want these brands to see what percentage of their purchases and revenue has been affected by email marketing activity in the past 2 months. So they don't want to claim any revenue share, or they don't want to claim that they made 70% of the revenue, which is crazy to say, but they simply just want to see the influence of email marketing, and they want to see it in an as wide time range as possible. So in the last 2 months, who were affected, what percentage of revenue has been affected by email marketing at all? Like, even if they opened one single win-back email in the last 2 months and they purchased, then we want to see that. So this really shows you, and I think it's really telling, that it all depends on your strategy and what you want to see. And you have to pick your attribution model accordingly and what you really track. So I hope I could help you today understand the 50 or even more shades of this gray area, which is called attribution models, email attribution. And I wish you a great success with emails and with your e-commerce store. Boom! Hope you enjoyed, and even more importantly, you learned a lot from this video. Here at Budai Media, our goal is to help at least 1,000 e-commerce businesses grow with high quality marketing, because we can see too much shit out there. If you like this video, make sure that you go down, you subscribe to this channel, and also hit the notification bell so you get updated of my weekly videos. We collected the top 100 email templates from the past 6 years, and these generated tens of thousands of dollars for our clients. So go down and click the link and get this 100 templates for free. And finally, I will drop you one more video here. Make sure that you check it out as well.